excitement. So when I did this presentation last week, I obviously selected the top picture. My wife said, no, you can't discriminate against the audience, and so I also included the bottom picture. So I pick your choice. I hope everybody is happy now. Which one you choose, I don't really want to know, but let me show you. I've shown a lot of theory. Mindfulness of this guy is totally off the nuts now. You know, he sits there and he does what? He's crazy, he's stupid. But let me show you now some examples to show you that these things are very practical. Now, we got involved by a client. They contacted us to become a technical expert in a court case. And when I explained to the guy a little of the statistics, basically that's what he said. You can imagine what he said, but it was not very nice words that he used. Why? They lost 60 million rand, 65 million rand in about 4 weeks of their own money. Okay, they owned a bunch of 4 guys, 4 private investors. They lost 60 million bucks, and then they sued the post office for a 260 million rand loss in their business. What they were tasked to do was to fly a hub-and-spoke route between all the main centre, and they were responsible to deliver parcels between Cape Town, Johannesburg, Durban, Bloemfontein, and East London. They were only in business for 8 days. They lost 60 million rand in 8 days. They were pissed off. Okay? So they sued the post office. Sorry, I had to use, but they were mad. Okay, so they sued the post office for 260 million. They came to us and said, you know what can we do? Very interesting. So I went back to Mr. Gauss, and I went back to Mr. Pearson. And what you can see there was, we took the analytics. They gave us heaps of paper. And there was no model, there was no A0 paper. It was boxes full of paper. Incident reports, tender specs. It was just boxes full of paper. We took all of that and put it into our analytical warehouse, and we looked at the data. And then we pulled a list of Mr. Gauss and Mr. Pearson on them, and we showed them that if you look at the blue line, that was a tender spec. That is a spec that the post office will tell you, as a service provider, that you will deliver on a specific route. 12 tons of freight per movement between, I think this one was Johannesburg and Cape Town. Now what we then did was we plotted the blue dots, which represented actual flight loads on that particular route. Can you see they are distributed around the blue line? If you look at the bars, we looked at 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviations, 3 standard deviations, which says that 60% of all your transactions will happen within that average. That is the 2 bars around, I think it's those 2 bars. But remember that 90% of your transactions may happen within 3 standard deviations. Hence the blue dots. So what we showed him was that, you know what, the specification wasn't wrong. The actual operations wasn't wrong, the process wasn't wrong. You just took the process and threw it up in the air and it actually operated. So nothing was out of spec. That's when he started to tell me a lot of words. So according to Mr. Gauss and Pearson, there was nothing wrong with the specification. You forgot the standard deviation and the post office forgot the standard deviation. Okay. 60 million rand mistake. Fortunately enough, they also, I could also use Mr. Ashby in this process. They did a process design, they spec'd out the operations, everybody signed operations off. We did sign off the A0. But what we found was in the design of the process, they made a little mistake called variety. So when they looked at the end-to-end process, they unfortunately agreed also to load loose loads. What that meant was it was a total different business to take parcels, weigh them, build them, and then put them into a container. 10 minutes. Okay, I'm going to finish. Then taking 5 containers and move them into an aircraft and then fly off. So Mr. Variety also nailed them there. So very lovely design, very lovely process. We could spec out the process. There was nothing wrong with the process. But Mr. Variety came in and it showed them you actually operated in another business, and that ensured that something like this happened. They experienced like a severe impact of an 80% drop in their customer experience. So we actually showed them mathematically that I'm sorry, this guy's had a reason to cancel the contract. Okay. The architecture was cool. Specs were signed off. Volumes of those things.